Skinner, Dean and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
This is, that was, and I am, and we are. So that you can be able to use those sentence openings now when you're doing your edits at home.
Nice.
To make me say almost anything on your own little version. So imagine you do on cassettes, and then you'll talk about that and you used to go when you're a radio broadcaster and you say, well, I used to listen to Absolute Radio and I used to take the little bits from their sentences and then make them into different things. Can you ever... this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio, aptly enough. And I'm with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. I'm scratching my arm furiously, but you don't need to know that. You can text us on 8 12 15, and we love to hear from you because you're you. Follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website, www.com/./.
We've had one punter already.
One punter's in.
Punter on the line?
Yeah.
Is this 300?
It is.
I don't mean Gerard Butler.
No.
That is Gerard Butler in it, in the film 300.
I don't know. I thought Gerard Butler was in Suede.
I met Gerard Butler.
Isn't that Brett Butler?
You met Gerard Butler?
He said, have we met before? And I said, you said that to me last time I met you.
He's good.
Oh, he's good. 300 says...
Who is he again?
Oh,
he's in 300.
Thanks for that.
Oh, I've seen 300. Yeah, I've seen 300.
300 says 1 week till Perkins. Very exciting. Now, this isn't a date with Sue Perkins.
No.
No.
This is, of course... What is it, Frank? It's your big moment, isn't it? Is it Little Train Driver?
This is my moment. Perkins is the name of my character in Doctor Who.
Are you in Doctor Who?
Yeah, did I not mention it?
Are you in Doctor Who?
Yeah.
Get away.
Frank, can we have a Who alert every time you mention Doctor Who?
God. I'm probably getting Who alerts on my phone as we speak, which I think I haven't switched off, actually, now I come to mention it.
Good point.
Anyway, so
we
1
all
week...
do airplane mode, even during the first link.
Sorry, I couldn't hear. Alan Cochrane was going on and on in the background.
Well, that's because we were talking about Perkins.
Yes.
1 week till Perkins.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's 1 week to the story, but on tonight's Doctor Who, I might appear.
Shut
up! Because there is...
they do next
time.
Week. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they always do next
Stop
time
scratching.
At the end with a bit of a trailer. So I might get in the trailer. Who can say?
How exciting.
Oh.
So, yeah, so this could be it.
Did they make you record that specially? So it's like coming up next week and you turn to camera a bit awkward.
They just all do a little bit of next week's story. I don't think they...
Well, I'll tell you what, interestingly, I've spent, since I did the Doctor Who, I've spent many an hour fretting about my performance, whether it was good enough. But now we get closer...
Well, haven't we all, love?
I know. As we get closer, I'm sort of thinking, oh, God, who cares? I mean,
You're in Doctor Who,
so
darling.
my excitement has overtaken my personal dignity. That's
Can I just say,
that hasn't happened for years.
If any friends of Frank's are listening, if anyone who calls you during the 40-minute period or whatever that it's on, I think you defriend them instantly.
Well, if I had any friends, I would certainly do that. But I'll just switch my phone off. I'm thinking of getting to one of those family gatherings, you know these ones you hear about when everyone gathers around the telly and then they've been cut out of the episode completely. I'm thinking of having one of those. What I'd like is if the Doctor Who people would send a bit with me completely cut out that I could then show, and then I could go, ha-ha, and then show the real one.
Prank edit.
I just don't want that record knocking about in case it accidentally gets broadcast. I can use that as my excuse if I'm not in it.
Yeah.
That was the bogus one that they... I'm planning ahead.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Is it too soon for another Doctor Who missive?
Well, let's get them out of the way,
Fast,
otherwise,
aren't they?
because people get angry when I talk about Doctor Who on the show, I've noticed.
Well, 760, Dear Mr. Radio, The Delicious Miss M, and LCS.
I think that's Lecoq Sportif, isn't it?
Elsie who?
LCS, Lecoq Sportif. Can Miss M and Lecoq do me a favour, please? When Frank said I might be on the trailer next week, did he smile and raise his eyebrows in a way that meant he knows he will be on the trailer? Is it a genuine maybe? I wouldn't want to have to sit through a whole episode of Doctor Who not to see Frank at the end, but will put myself through it if you will definitely be on. Cheers, Dandy Man. I feel your pain, Dandy Man.
Oh, come now. I honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
But there will be a trailer. There will be a trailer for my episode. They don't let you see anything in advance. I really don't know. I might not be in. I might have been cut completely.
In fairness, you do say quite a lot of things with a smile and a raise of your eyebrows.
Yeah.
So it's partly how you perform. So
Yes,
it's hard to know whether or not.
I'm sort of stuck with that. It's my general excitement at life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Life.
Just don't understand that.
Life. Life. That's how it should have gone.
Like
But
that.
it's really affected your songwriting career, hasn't it?
Yeah, you can imagine saying, I don't know, maybe to go live. No, go live at the end. I'd like to ask your advice about something. I don't...
Keep scratching his arm and it's
You
bringing
should say Frank's been bitten.
Been bitten
bringing
again.
the parent out in me, because I say, stop scratching, stop picking that, stop doing that. Quite a lot. That's my role in the home.
There's a...
Charlie's on to buy him some drugs.
There's a children's...
Strung out.
There's a children's TV programme called In the Night Garden.
Oh, I'm familiar with it.
And last night, Kath did a rather fabulous pun and said, in the Bite Garden. That's where we live.
Did she say more like at the end?
I don't know if she did or not. I was too busy raising my eyebrows and smiling. But that's another story.
What about when I asked Buzz yesterday if he had a girlfriend and he said, no, but I've got a balloon? I thought it was a brilliant response.
It is.
I wish I'd used that in all the times I was single.
Yeah.
Imagine if someone comes up to you, you know when women are casually investigating, they say, so have you got a girlfriend? No, but I've got a balloon in my pocket, if you know what I'm saying. No. So, I like to ask your advice because you're people of the world. I had a moment this week where I reached for my dressing gown. Mm-hmm. I think I've got 4, maybe 5 dressing gowns at home.
Come on, try and keep the feet on the ground. You're estranging yourself from the
Well,
the
I've been
people.
given
You've already boasted
dressing.
that you've got about 200 suits.
I've been given dressing gowns by people. It's
Given dressing gowns
yeah,
by
I've
people.
got 3 of them are monogrammed.
What?
Oh, lovely.
With your initials or just hotel ones? Like-
Yeah, no, Holiday Inn. no, with my initials, yeah. But they were gifts. I would never go. I'd never mix toweling and embroidery.
Mm-hmm.
That's my motto. But I never, ever wear a dressing gown. And when I went to put one on, I thought, I realised that now I have no idea what they're for, why people use them. It's the idea that you use them when you first get up. Is that when you put it on?
Yes.
I think so.
You see, I have at least 5
But what's the point of...
robes. What's the point?
What's the point
What's
of
the
putting
point
that
of
on?
the shirt you're wearing?
Well, because people will see the shirt. I'm going out. But why not just put on
A jumper.
clothes?
Because
Yeah.
it's lovely and comfy. And you
Cosy.
Yeah, nice and cosy. And you can put them on, let's say there's a tradesman at the door.
Yes.
You can look respectable without having to get entirely dressed.
No.
No.
I wouldn't want to go to the door in toweling.
No.
No. Honestly, I'll put on yesterday's clothes until I shower.
Do you?
Because I think I'll give them one last hurrah. So I'll put yesterday's socks, yesterday's pants, yesterday's everything on.
No.
Then I'll go and have breakfast and stuff, and deliberately eating quite a devil-may-care way, because I know I've got yesterday's clothes on.
This isn't true.
That's
Surely
absolutely
not.
true. Doesn't everyone do that?
No.
No.
They're still dirty, so, you're not going to do any harm to them.
See, I would
You're
put
still
on some-
dirty.
I would put on some-
You're both at the same state. You've got dirty together, you and yesterday's clothes. So it's you're on a natural continuum. Whereas the dressing gown... We'll come back to this. You've been warned if you want to find another station.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
And the other thing I wanted to know about dressing gowns...
Yeah.
Is this the concept? Now, this is a serious question. is the idea that you have a shower and then you put on a dressing gown instead of drying yourself on the towel, and the dressing gown, because it is a towel garment, a garment towel, if you will, then it just dries you
And
then
absorbs the moisture.
as you move about, so you don't have to dry yourself before you put the dressing gown on. Is that how that works?
I don't know.
Well,
Often-
I do, because opinion is divided on this issue.
Oh.
I have seen shock expressed when I've gone straight for the robe post shower.
Who on earth sees you at that stage?
I can't possibly imagine.
Okay.
But yeah, I've seen shock expressed. If I'm putting it straight on, because some are purists and think you should use the towel.
And then use the towel and then wear a towel.
Yeah.
They're over egging the pudding, surely.
Can I say, what I won't tolerate is the waffle robe.
Oh.
Like sandpaper.
Is that like they sometimes give you in a spa?
Awful. With the paper pants.
I was given one only yesterday. I was going for a swim, and the woman said, "Can I have a big towel, please? Because I'm going to go to the swimming and then the shower." And she went, "Oh, have a robe as well, because it's raining outside. It'll be cosy." And I very nearly just thrust it straight back and said, I'm not going to need that. When in between being wet and being dry, am I going to need like a stay of execution garment? It's not.
Did you say?
Not my home. I'm not going to go and watch a DVD in a dressing gown, am I?
Did you say? Is it a waffle robe?
You want me to say waffle robe?
Is it a
It's just like
robe?
Toby Jones.
Is
You
it
like
a
it when I say Toby Jones?
robe de waffle? No, the robe. I quite enjoy it. Occasionally, I never do people's accents. But occasionally, you say something which just gives me pleasure. I saw Toby Jones was in something this week, and I thought of you.
It was excellent.
Yes, I've heard that.
Watched it. It was really, really good.
I'm gonna do one of those iPlayer things.
Oh, I don't know if you got that long. Maybe till.
Well, what have you heard?
Actually, we've had a text in from 760 saying I'm gowned up to the max right now, and I was the same last night. #awesome gowns.
Last
Oh,
night.
lovely.
Now, you see, this is the other thing when people put them on at night before they go to bed. Like they want
Always.
it's like they want to let everything air before they go to bed.
Have you never... I've fallen asleep in a robe.
Yeah, but why on earth do you need something between clothes? That's why they're called bed clothes on your bed, because your normal clothes are replaced by your bed clothes.
I thought bedclothes was the sheets on the bedding.
Yeah, they are.
I think
Oh, right,
Frank,
yeah, got you.
Frank
It's all bed
has...
clothes.
I got you. I thought you meant pyjamas.
They're not the clothes of the bed, if that's what you're thinking.
No.
There isn't like a bedswear shop where mattresses are going in to get made-to-measure suits for wedding nights. Don't be ridiculous.
Can I be honest, darling? I think that problem with you is
God.
that the robe...
This is quite a big opening to any sentence.
You know the dressing gown conversation? We're parking that, and now we're going to do the problem with you.
Shall I put some music on for the
Let's
listeners?
put some music on, and I'll be back in a bit with the problem with you.
Aye.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
Hey, on 8/12/15, the texts have started coming in thick and fast about this, what I can call dressing gown gate. Dry first, as you will have a wet dressing gown when you next put it on, says Richard.
Yes, Emily.
211.
All right. Never mind
you could
that.
argue the same about using towels, though.
Was that a
couldn't you?
demonstration of the text coming in thick and
No, that was
fast?
just one. That was just one. 514 has also said, isn't it just normal to sleep in pants? I'm with you, I wear a cotton boxer short, and when I jump out of bed I would probably put on some jogging bottoms and a hoodie, which I think have replaced the dressing gown.
Wow, when you're off for a midnight crime?
Yeah. No, you know that they apparently sell less wristwatches now because people have got phones and they check the time on their phones. So the
Okay.
watch is being threatened, but I think the dressing gown is being directly threatened by the hoodie.
Good. You do get the hooded dressing gown. Where does that leave us in this argument?
Boxing. That's
All my robes, I don't call them dressing gowns, I call them robes.
Could you start calling them dressing gowns, please? I think it'll bring you closer to our class level.
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
Yes, and also I grew up on that film The Robe every Christmas about Jesus. I don't know, if that had been called the dressing gown.
I currently have 5 robes on just the one hook.
Well, that must be straining if they're all sopping wet.
Yeah.
It is straining.
Are some of them silk? Is that why it can
No,
take
they're
the burden?
pretty much mainly toweling. I've just remembered I never told you the problem with you.
Oh, yeah, the problem with me.
So the problem with you is that I think the robe itself, the toweling robe, in some ways, it's inherently very decadent. It's about just luxuriating and lounging around. There's no real purpose for it. And
So
I think perhaps that's why you're
I'm
not a
glad
fan.
you've said the last bit. Yeah, there is no purpose. Yeah, okay.
And I think with your somewhat hair shirt approach to life, I think you think, what's the
To
point
say
of
hair
it?
shirt is the man I've been living with as a friend and lover for the last 20 years.
German, isn't he?
German, but he's a nice bloke.
Anyway, next week on The Problem With You,
Yes.
I'll be discussing something else. No, I think that's what it is, Frank.
Well, it's fun. Well, you say that, but at the same time, I was slightly affronted by Kath will wear a dressing gown with a non-matching dressing gown belt. She'll wear a belt from another dressing gown. Now, you'd think someone who, as you say to me, is trying to more into dressing down than dressing gown would think, yeah, that's it, you show the dressing gown, it's not as fancy as it thinks. I'm appalled by it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm appalled by the juxtaposition.
I hate to throw a spanner in the works further, but we've had 2 different text messages
I wish I had a
saying
sound effect jingle then of
a spanner. That would be
arriving.
good. We should get that.
Can we sort that, Daisy? A spanner arriving in works.
371 has texted, bathroom and dressing gown, 2 different items of clothing, 2
Yes.
exclamation marks. 594, I think you're confusing dressing gowns with bathrobes, just saying. That's Linda.
I think you'll find they're
This is gonna
exactly the
run and
same.
run.
They're exactly the same item. Exactly the same item. What is? If you take it in one room, it becomes a bathrobe, and in another room, it becomes a dressing gown.
I don't know.
If there's tissue in the pocket, it's a dressing gown. That's my motto.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Stop
I'll tell
scratching.
you what, I saw.
Sorry.
I saw. That must be really annoying for people at home.
Yeah.
I saw a very cool character yesterday in the street wearing.
A dressing gown.
No,
Outdoors.
he was wearing, as you would imagine, he was wearing a woolen hat, quite a
Oh, a
loose
beanie.
fitting woolen. No, it was quite a loose, and it was all cool.
Oh, right.
And,
Oh, yeah.
ooh, baby, was kind of a hat. And
He sounds very,
Spencer.
he sounds very cool.
Ooh, baby.
no, he was very cool. But it did strike me that the woolen hat is probably at its peak at the moment. It doesn't have a peak.
No.
But it's absolutely. It's never been more fashionable.
Well,
The beanie
the
has
woolen
never
hats
been more
indoors.
The
as
woolen,
well.
the woolen
Oh,
hat
there's a lot of
indoors
that.
in particular.
When someone does that, I just think they've not washed their hair. That's what I think. If they've got a woolen hat on and they're keeping it on, they've just not washed their hair that day.
Yeah, see, I always think enormous operation scar, so I never mention it.
That's the difference.
Yeah, I'm a very sensitive person. But it suddenly occurred to me how odd that when the woolen hat is absolutely at its height, the bobble
No, yeah.
has completely dropped out of.
Well, the bobble was popular last AW, wasn't it, Emily Dean?
Well, the bobble is popular, and other things I never thought I'd say this morning, in a sort of hipster.
In
It's a bit
Eastern
ironic.
Europe, I thought you were going to say that.
Fixed wheel bike,
No,
big
in Eastern
beards,
London.
Shoreditch
Is
type.
it?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
it's
never
a
see a
Shoreditch.
bobble anymore.
No, well, those aren't your. That's not your world, darling.
No. Well, it used to be. I mean, the bobble
You
hat
were a
used to be
hipster?
No, I was a football fan. Well, I still am. You see, this is what made me think about it. Is
Yeah.
that this way? I haven't done this for a while, but I went out in a football shirt, not to a match. I just wore it. I wore a football shirt as casual wear,
Oh, did you have 3/4 length trousers and wraparound shades?
and I had my head shaved just for the day.
Yeah.
No, I just it's a nice. I think there are certain football shirts you can wear as casual wear. And now I know you're both looking very dubious. I think
It's a bit insufficient evidence party.
if
I don't
it's
like
an international strip from an obscure and unsuccessful country,
Right.
or the away strip from the past of your own team,
Right.
I think that's acceptable. It's all about
So
periphery.
specific.
Yeah, it's about peripheries. That's what it's about.
Sometimes people can get away with an obscure international team as well.
Oh, I just said that.
Did you?
I mean, how embarrassing! I can't.
I thought you said.
I can't even look at you. No,
Oh, you mean a club team?
no, I'm gone too.
Oh, right, no, I meant
So
like
I could, for
Campus
example,
8 or...
I wore a Switzerland shirt.
Did you? Well, that's pretty neutral.
Yeah, a Switzerland shirt from about 20 years ago. I felt okay with that.
Oh, that's fine.
Whereas
in a sort of
you know-
Well, you
regular
may have
chic
felt
way.
okay, but let me tell you this.
Yes, go on.
Can't wear football shirts with casual wear.
I would normally
Yeah.
agree with you.
Unacceptable.
You can wear them with smart stuff, though. That does pass.
No, it's
Imagine
interesting.
wearing that. That's good. Black tie
Black
with
tie
a
with
football
the-
shirt underneath.
I mean, I must say, in the old days, I would never have gone shopping in a rosette. You just don't do it. But you do see quite a lot of people. But I think if it's a contemporary shirt, it's out of the question.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's something a bit odd, or that people say, "Oh, what's that?" and you say, "Oh, it's a San Etienne away, 1990s." That's all right, I think.
Nice, yeah.
You with me on this now, Em?
Well, I don't know, but I'm going to start wearing my Formula One jumpsuit. We're all doing that then.
That'd be brilliant. We had a complaint today that we gave away the pole positions on the news.
Oh, we did. They're
For Formula One, the guy was absolutely furious.
I believe he referred to us as idiots.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, that's the trouble with the news. They're always letting stuff leak about what's currently happening in the world. I keep telling them to, you know.
Be more secretive about
Yes,
it.
I listen to the whole news going, spoilers! Spoilers!
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I don't know if there's any gardeners listening, but I did the wrong thing yesterday. I cut a wet lawn.
Oh,
You're not supposed to cut a wet lawn.
is that right?
Yeah. It's difficult in this country.
To not sometimes.
Unless I got some form of... They used to have a cover at Warwickshire County Cricket Ground that went across the whole, more or less the whole thing, called the Brombrella.
Oh, that's good.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
lovely.
clever. And unless I did that... Anyway, I had to cut... It was getting... It was starting to look like... You know, one of those gardens that you get in a street where you think someone's gone wrong in that family?
Yes. I know exactly.
You know those gardens?
Yeah.
Yes, that was our garden.
I have to say, our Keith had a garden that... what happened was that during the... You remember those the Michael Fish gales?
Yes.
Yeah, the Great Storm.
They blew over the... he had a sort of a picket fence on the side of his garden. Mm-hmm. And
Are we talking front or back?
front.
Okay.
And it blew down. And I said to Keith, you need to put that... He said, yeah, I'll do it. I'm a bit busy, but I'll do it. I'll do it the weekend. So next weekend he still hadn't done it. 2 years passed. And the lawn claimed our Keith's fence for its own.
Yeah.
It grew in and out of it. And it sort of disappeared into the lawn, the fence. It was, if you can imagine watching a Mississippi riverboat, and one of the blades steadily going, just as it goes into the water and then disappears. That's what happened with the fence into our Keith's lawn. Mm-hmm. So I thought, I don't want that.
No.
I don't want to be seen as, one of the... There's trouble in that house gardens. So I took it on wet yesterday. And I think that's why I've been bitten. I think the garden...
You really are scratching a lot now.
Yes, it's getting
When
worse.
you did it a second ago, the producer walked away from where you were doing it.
I think I might be off to A&E or something after. Or is that Naturist magazine from the 70s? That was H&E. Never see that anymore, do you?
No.
Yeah.
What, Naturist or that magazine?
Do Naturists still exist? I bet there's at least 4. I'm saying 5. There's 5 Naturists listening now to this programme.
Right, yeah.
Oh, I loved a Naturist with
They
their
might-
1970s bodies.
Yeah.
Lovely.
They may be fans of the dressing gown. Who knows?
I went out with a Naturist. What,
Did
this
you?
isn't a joke.
It does feel like there's a
Sound like
punchline
that.
coming.
It does sound like
You
I went out
didn't.
with a mermaid once. 36.24 and 3 and 6 a pound. No, I did go out with a
like that one.
Naturist. It was sort of
An eye-opener?
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. I'm with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane this morning. Why don't you text us on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Now, we have quite an unusual thing today. When this show started, we used to have guests on every week. And we decided... We stopped, yeah.
I don't recall why.
I think I had a big thing about it. Went in the cafe after for brunch, and I said, "Oh, that's it. I've had enough of guests." And shortly after, we stopped. So,
we make exceptions for dear friends.
Yeah, we had Neil Gaiman on not too long ago, and we've got David Baddiel is with us later in the show, selling stuff. So
say that like he's got a bric-a-brac suitcase.
I think it makes him sound like he's got a stall in some Turkish bazaar.
Those folks that used to come in the pub on a Friday night with seafood in a basket. Yeah, but David will be along
You know
later.
where he'll be right now? He always drives, never takes car. I've noticed, never takes cabs.
I bet you
because he did drive to the BAFTAs once. This is how often he drives.
I'll say he's in his dressing gown now.
Oh.
He favoured a dressing gown.
He'll be driving around trying to sort out his parking. That's what he'll be doing.
Surely he won't drive in today, will he?
I don't know.
You'd be surprised.
You looked at me
that's
as if
the
I knew
producer. Has he... She doesn't know. She says she doesn't know. She doesn't want to say no. We've sent him a car in case we have another guest on at some time and we don't feel they're worthy of a car.
Good point.
You have to think ahead in this job,
yeah.
you know. I know it looks like she just stands in the corners laughing, but she has to do, I think is it 4 things? Or is it 3? Anyway.
Oh, okay. Anyway, Chris Evans. George Clooney got married this week.
As they say in the newsroom, souche.
George Clooney got married.
He did. He sure did.
Clooney got married.
Why the secrecy, George, though? Why the discretion?
You mean enough people don't know about it?
Oh, he went very OTT, didn't he?
Big, innit? It's big. Big.
I'm not sure about Venice. Would you get married in Venice?
I hated Venice, but
of course you
hated
did.
it.
Have you seen the prices of those pizzas?
Do you know what? We went and it just rained. It rained and rained and rained, and I didn't have a good meal, not a single nice
You're
meal.
sounding so British right now.
I just didn't enjoy Venice, and it's one of those things where there are places that I could go back to all the time, and Venice is, I had a bad start and it's staying. I mean, I wasn't invited anyway.
I had this thing in Venice.
I went
there. The first 5 times I think I went there, the woman I went with a different woman every time.
Legend! You're listening to Absolute Legend!
But I split up. We split up after the Venice trip on... me and Kath actually split up at the airport coming back.
From Venice?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah. But we got back together, obviously, but the other ones, no. So I saw it as the absolute kiss of death to my relationships.
Well.
So, but I do. It's beautiful. I mean, Venice.
Let's hope George isn't listening to that.
I'm doing this with my mouth. People at home thinking, he's got a mandolin. No. The thing is with a wedding...
Very good impersonation of a mandolin.
Thanks. The thing is with a wedding in Venice, is what I like about a wedding is the old tins on the back of the car when they drive off.
Oh, I love that.
As they go off, hey, just married. In Venice, it's just, you put the tins on the back of the gondola, it's just...
Oh, yeah.
All you can hear is...
You might catch some sprats by the end.
Yeah, you'll be lucky if you catched even a sprat. But, so that would put me off. But I have been slightly fascinated by the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't normally
read... the whole
read...
George Clooney thing?
Well, I don't normally read that much showbiz stuff, but...
Well, you can't avoid this one.
No, we'll come out to
We'll
it.
talk.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had a text from Dan in sort of sunny Southend. He says, Frank and the Super Gang, we'll take that. I split from a 7-year relationship in Venice. Thankfully, we didn't get back together. Yes, a beautiful place. This is a strange texting that we're now running on commercial radio.
Yes.
Have you split up with someone in Venice?
Or post-Venice.
Or post-Venice.
So
or been there and not enjoyed it.
Venice is not the place to go if you're in love with someone, it seems.
I think that the problem is with Venice is it's full of people who walk around holding hands and kissing on bridges.
Yeah.
I mean, standing on bridges. And they that makes you... So if there's any flaws at all in
Yes.
your relationship, they start to show up. Now, the thing is, those people are probably overcompensating because they're in Venice and they think, better be romantic, I suppose.
Yeah.
So it's a terrible... It's a vicious circle, as I think the French say. Some sort of circle.
But they seem like a nice couple, don't they? Clooney and Amal,
Do they?
don't they?
I wouldn't want to go out with a human rights lawyer.
Why not?
Oh, you can just imagine everything you say. Oh, I've had a terrible day. Oh, have you had a terrible day? What about the people in the third world? I couldn't live with that.
Right. Yeah.
Couldn't live with it. She looks...
She looks nice.
Yes, she looks nice.
She entered to the tune of Here Comes the Bride, which I thought was a bit... not something you often hear at weddings these days.
No, if I
It was
got...
a Benny Hill sketch.
If I got married in Venice, I'd want to go down the aisle to Who Let the Doge Out.
Very good.
Did she come to a proper...
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Well, I'm
And then
good.
there was a jazz trio.
There was a jazz trio, which
Yes.
apparently Bill Murray was particularly into. That's pretty cool.
I think he might be the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he wasn't really into it, was he? He was drunk and thinking, oh, it's jazz, I better pretend I like jazz because that makes me sound
Well,
cleverer.
I thought that when reading the article, and then later on it says that Bono was there, so I suspect he was just thinking, oh, this is great, I better enjoy this before he picks up a guitar and starts doing one of his songs to us all.
He
Bono-
was going around giving his album out to everyone. Can you imagine?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, imagine Bono at the wedding. How many people were coming up going, I just need to get this off my iTunes. Do you know how to do
He'd
it?
turn up laden down. He'd be like David Baddiel with his copies of his books this morning.
I'll
Handing
tell
them
you,
out.
but what I have scoured the reports of this wedding, and I cannot find a trace of Sir Elton John.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Can you imagine in the villa in Nice?
yes.
David, have you checked the mail today? No, I it's not here. Look, he might have fallen behind the piano. I bet he's been absolute. When I looked at it, in fact, I read the guest list and I actually sang. Because there was no Elton John. Yeah. But how can Elton John not have been at an enormous showbiz wedding in Venice? How did that happen?
I think it's a violation of his human rights.
Oh,
I
do
really
you?
do.
I do. I should tell the bride.
Yeah.
Maybe
When
he's
she gets
going
that
through
curve.
how can I put this? I think he goes through what I call tracksuit periods in his life.
Excellent.
Oh, yeah, he
Do
does.
you know what I mean?
Do you think he was invited? If he'd have been invited, he'd have been there like a shot. I'm surprised there wasn't suddenly a sort of floating piano didn't come down the Grand Canal with him desperately trying to do a version of your song with references to George and...
Nice, yeah.
What's she called? Aladdin?
No, not
Amal.
Aladdin.
Amal?
Yeah.
Yeah, that he didn't come down doing a special version for them with them saying, no, you're not invited. Rocket Man, no, you're not invited. I remember, no, go away. Just see him going off into the distance. Goodbye, yellow brick road. Can you get out of the way? I'm trying to... Yeah. But how can Elton John not have been at that wedding? There's a story here.
a mystery.
There's a story.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
There's a news story that has rung a bell with me. It's about new mothers apparently get jealous, envious of their kids' clothes because baby clothes are so fashionable now, and new mums apparently they don't spend as much on themselves to try and look good as they did before. They reduce their spending.
What about yummy mummies?
Well, I'm a big fan of Yummy Mummies. I'm glad
you?
you brought them up. Yeah.
What,
Absolutely disgusting.
as a genre?
yeah. As a genre, they would be a genre that I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the Yummy Mummy genre.
Okay, that's what I can say.
Well,
I can
but
see
I'm
that.
all-
I'm glad
Also-
you feel you can speak freely. I'm here to
I
tell you
think
you
so.
can't.
I'm also a big sufferer from strange envies.
Yes.
I get jealous of my own children's clothes.
Really?
As in the clothes of my children, not children's clothes that I've invented, like I've got a range or anything. Yeah, they get some really cool stuff.
I'd like to see your children's clothes. They look like Victorian street urchins.
I get jealous of other men's beards. I get beard envy. I get comfy envy. Do you ever get comfy envy where somebody just looks really comfortable in the clothes that they've got on? Have you ever had that?
If someone says to me, that looks so comfy, I punch them.
Really?
Yeah.
You think that's a bad thing?
Yeah.
Honestly, I did a gig with somebody recently and they had on some, like, I think quite quality denim but had been worn in, a
Right.
T-shirt, a cardigan,
And a
one of
dressing
those... and a dressing gown. And one of those Baker Boy hats. Honestly, he was doing a gig, but he looked like he could have happily gone on a long-haul flight.
Can I fess up? What is a Baker Boy hat?
Fess up. That's a hat that Baker Boys used to wear. There's quite a well-known...
Baker Boys as in people
Sure.
who bake.
Yeah, I think they
Okay.
delivered bread. I mean, we'll probably get some text explaining it.
I just don't know what it means.
It's got a peak and I think 6 or perhaps
It's a
8
bit Peaky
panels.
Blinder.
Like,
It's a bit Peaky Blinder.
Oh, okay.
but more panelled than that. Very comfortable looking.
I
though.
get the baby clothes thing. I get very envious.
Of the baby clothes.
Mainly the sizes. 0 to 3.
Yeah.
My dream. But yet some of them are beautiful. I've got to be honest.
Well,
And cheap without the VAT, of course.
One garment I really don't envy. Boz wears a jumper with his age on.
Oh no, I won't be doing that.
I don't think that's going to catch on, is it?
No, not in my neck of the woods.
No. So he's got like a big 2 on the front of it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not going to go in
I
with
quite
that.
like the jeans with the elasticated waist though.
Well, that's a boon always at our
Yeah.
age.
Smashing.
Yeah, I like
Great for having a big meal, aren't they?
I like a
Yeah.
bib. I got to tell you.
All these items are available at the I Have Given Up shop, which Frank and I are going to start going to.
Yeah.
No, a
I
bib.
think they
though.
advertise in newspapers, don't they?
I think adult bibs would make a lot of sense, don't
Yeah.
you think? I often spill stuff. I mean, it's only in a rib shack. Is it really okay to wear a bib? I call it a bib shack. That's what I call it. But they're complete. You know, if you think that it's more acceptable for a child to have food and stuff, we might have a nice. Look. Emily always comes here immaculately. It would make absolute sense if she put a bib on for brunch.
Yeah. It's nice that you said she always... What, am I turning up? Actually, I've got... yeah.
No, you turn up like you're looking like you're in Ocean Colour scene, like you always do.
I'll take that.
And that's fine, but why aren't there adult bibs more often?
It's a good point.
I'm serious. I think that'd be a good idea. I'm always looking for an invention, me.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
We were talking about getting envious of children's clothes and other strange envies. I don't know if this says a lot about me, but I get envious of people with big, strong-looking calf muscles, and I get especially envious of people with those little, small, strong hands, like you sometimes
like me?
see. No, robots. You're a lady, aren't you? No, not robots. Like kind of little
Not
Danny
robots.
DeVito, powerful,
Really?
like
You want
builder's
hands like
hands, like those little pudgy, strong-fingered.
Oh, no.
I haven't got those. My hands are long and sort of like
Lovely.
pianists. They are nice, but they're not macho or strong.
They're Capaldi hands.
I saw a documentary about fisher women, and they were.
Did you?
I got really jealous of their hands.
You call it a documentary.
Cool story, bro. Can I tell you what I envy?
Please do.
Animals of the wealthy. Because they've got a lovely life.
Oh,
Carried around.
Oh, they've got the good postcode, but they don't have to talk to the terrible +1.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great.
but aren't they
they're
drowned
not
by
picking up.
servants? Don't you end up being drowned by servants when you become unfashionable?
I just think they've got the perfect
I
deal.
thought you meant drowned as in with attention of the
No.
servants.
I think...
I didn't realise you meant that they meet a fate.
You know, when they say, I think Yorkshire Terriers just aren't in anymore. Clive, could you, And then you never see it again.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Awful.
I suppose there's a downside.
My son has got, he's got these things as an all-in-one, but it's, what would you call one where they button up the crotch? It's legless. But they button up the crotch.
Oh, it's not a baby grow. It's
I suppose it's a baby grow.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't fit in it now.
Yeah.
But it had Bruce Lee, and a really good
Oh, that's
drawing of
great.
Bruce
Oh,
Lee.
lovely.
but it was tight on the gusset, even on my child. It got so tight on the gusset that I realised that eventually I realised his feet weren't touching the floor anymore. It's actually being raised up. So we had to stop that. But I would have loved that. I don't know if I could get away with a baby grow, but if I wore it with trousers over the top, who'd know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Your little secret.
Well,
wasn't it?
women will wear a teddy under jeans.
A teddy.
Yeah, teddy.
I don't know, a teddy. Is that what it's called? A teddy?
Have I said a bad thing?
No, a teddy. Is that what
It's
it's
a
called?
teddy, isn't it?
I think you mean a body.
A body.
What's a teddy then?
A teddy is nightwear,
Oh,
I believe. Yeah.
I don't know that.
Not in our house. Yeah. Oh well, I thought I've made a terrible faux pas. I'm enjoying it at the moment. You know, sometimes embarrassment can be terrible, but sometimes you're just glad of the warmth.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had a text in. This is from one of my regulars, Simon the art dealer.
Oh yes.
He's got strong views on Venice as well. Simon says, Venice, I did it the other way round, Frank. I was dumped
Yeah, well,
by...
I mean, you don't have to go into those kind of details.
I was dumped by my girlfriend, Sarah. Oh, we've named her now.
Oh.
Who ran off with the guy who owned the local Greek restaurant.
What, in Venice or
Happens-
back home?
Oh,
Is
I
it?
don't know.
Back home, I think.
And so,
Okay.
to cheer myself up, I decided to go to Venice. Idiot.
That would do it.
Every bridge, piazza and gondola was awash with loving and courting couples. I couldn't escape fools dropping to one knee in proposal.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it was.
Simon, you brought it on yourself.
It was a bad idea, wasn't it? How do I get over this relationship? I know I'll go to Venice on my own.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't help thinking of poor Dirk Bogarde.
He should have gone to Iron Apple, Frank. It would have made him want to be
That would have
celibate for
been-
life.
That would have been good.
Well, there's lots of... probably the last place on earth I'd want to go on my own would be Venice, I think.
Yeah.
Is that true? No, actually, I'd happily go and do the galleries, have a little pizza, and tell...
A little pizza.
Yeah, and then, you
They do
know...
pizza for one, do they?
Because let's face it, I'd be looking at those couples holding hands, but I'd be doing it disparagingly, thinking, thus is your insecurity that you have to put on public displays of affection.
Yeah, like he does when he says fools. I like the fact that he calls them fools dropping on one knee.
Yes.
How's
Unless
the arm?
that-
How's the bite?
Stop scratching.
I've applied cream to the bite now.
Yeah.
I can't bear that we have to keep saying stop scratching. It's like being in the workhouse.
Oh, you'd know that, of course.
Okay, fair enough.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
And I believe we're now about to enter email corner, having dealt with what I like to call a text message.
Hold on. In my life, I've found that it pays to wait. Hold on.
Does anybody know this song? Is that
It's by Peter Skellen.
is it? Okay.
Oh, no.
Email corner. Emily Dean on lead vocals. That's the email corner jingle. Feet, Emily Dean.
I like the implication that there are any sort of other vocals on that track.
Hi Frank, Emily and Alan. I'm listening to your back catalogue of podcasts and have come across some etymological questions that have hung in the ether unanswered. What? Have they? I thought I would try and answer them for you. In a show from 2012, you ask where the term stool pigeon comes from.
It's a reasonable question.
Of course, yeah. I believe the phrase comes from the hunting of passenger pigeons in North America, in which they would capture one of the birds, tie it to a stool.
Hold it, passenger pigeons.
Yeah.
What are they?
I think they're those pigeons that you occasionally see getting a baccy off other pigeons.
Yeah, ferrying mice.
Yeah,
from
have you
town
not
to
seen
town.
that?
I've never heard of messenger pigeons. I've heard of.
Yeah, and then there's passenger pigeons.
They carry
They're
passengers.
sort of freeloaders, really, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, I've never heard that.
Maybe they're like scrubs. They don't have their own car or something.
Scrubs.
Scrubs.
Do you know what scrubs are?
No, I remember the popular TV show.
Oh, no. I
What
have
are
to-
scrubs?
Scrub, Daisy, can you explain what a scrub is?
I
It's a guy who perhaps doesn't own his own vehicle or his own car. It's kind of a street thing.
Isn't it like an
They're called
impoverished
scrubs.
chap?
And so
Yeah.
he gets lifts.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Okay. All right.
I never thought I'd have to explain what scrubs were.
Well, I never thought I wouldn't know what scrubs were. How could I have thought that when I didn't know what scrubs were? If I didn't know what they were, how could I know that I didn't know what they were? Okay, next.
You're listening to Absolute Existentialism.
Yes.
The hunting of passenger pigeons in North America, in which they would capture one of the birds, tie it to a stool, and as the birds were so gregarious, a flock would assemble around the captured bird, which
Like
made
a gig.
which made for easy hunting.
It's like a Rat Pack gig.
Yeah.
There'd be one of them on a stool. I imagine they forced it into a roll neck sweater.
Uh-huh.
And the others would gather.
That's exactly how it works with stool pigeons.
That sounds too literal, doesn't it? That a stool pigeon would be on a stool.
No, that's why it was called a stool pigeon, because it was on a stool. It was actually a passenger
I
pigeon.
I got that.
Yeah.
This is
I
getting
got
nasty.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I thought it would be some complicated, but in fact it was called a stool pigeon because it was on a stool.
Well, due to that overhunting, the species went from the most numerous bird in the world to extinct, with the last remaining bird.
Oh, keep it light.
Last remaining bird dying in Cincinnati Zoo in 1916.
Well,
He said not Google date, but believe correct.
can I just say our thoughts are with its family.
Skinner, Dean, and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text us on 81215. Mm-hmm. No, really. Follow the show on Twitter, @Frank on the Radio, and email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
David Baddiel's in the building already.
He's in the building.
He's in the building.
Came in, took a chocolate biscuit, left.
Also, I'm mid-email. We're still in email corner. Still got to do
You're
the tail
medieval.
end of. I've got to do the tail end of this email from Ivan
Yes.
in Cambridge. But if I can just trail something else, we've had an email from some naturists. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
We'll pick that up later.
You will.
I will, yeah. The email about the stool pigeon.
I still
that's how it started.
I still don't know what a passenger pigeon is.
No. Today's text in 81215. What is a passenger pigeon and why? Why is it called that? It continues. Also, whilst interviewing Ross Noble in 2011, it's going back some this, isn't
Bit
it?
forensic.
You asked where the term rain check comes from. This term also derives from North America, where if a baseball game was called off due to bad weather, people who had bought tickets would be given a rain check so they could enter the stadium when the game was rescheduled. Hope this helps, and the show is, of course, brilliant as a youth, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Oh, that's...
That's cleared something up for me, because I actually thought it was rain check, as in CHECK. I thought it was someone putting their hand out, like, oh, I'll just check if it's raining or not.
Oh.
When someone said, oh, we're going to have to take a rain check on that, I thought they meant, like, we'll
Yes.
see.
Do you know
But
what?
it doesn't mean that, does it? It
I
means
think it probably does.
No, I think that makes sense, because a rain check is, well, I can't do it today, I'll do it another day.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with the baseball. If it's rained off, it's done later
take a
on. I
rain
love
check.
it. I enjoy it.
Thank you, Ivan in Cambridge. You
I
sound
think
quite
it's good.
intelligent.
Yeah, it's really good.
I was at the Shea Stadium once in New York,
Work with them all.
and every time a batter got out for the opposition, it's New York Mets played there. This old guy next to me went, "Good night," and I found myself doing it for years. It became one of my what do you call me, the earworms?
Yes. Yeah.
And particularly if I was doing a new material gig, stand-up, when I went to, and went up with the list at the end to see how stuff had gone, when I got to a joke that had gone really badly, I would go, "Good night," as I crossed it out. Oh, I used to go there a lot, Shea Stadium. And once I bought some Cracker Jack there, you know, that sort of cracknel nut toffee stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I bought some
With
of
your
that.
teeth?
Well, that, yes, with my
are you
teeth,
out
it
of your
doesn't
mind?
matter. And the guy said, "There's your." He gave me the money, and I said, "Thank you." And he said, "Oh, you mean keep the change?" And I said, "What?" He said, "No, in New York, when we say thank you, that means keep the change." And I said, "Oh, okay, well, keep the change." He's like a real wimp. And this guy next to me said, "I've lived in New York for 45 years. I've never heard that in my life." I was ripped off.
Yeah, you got mugged.
And if I ever...
You got murked. Can we get on to email 2, please?
Shall
Dear
we?
Frank, Emily and Alan, regarding Frank's recent comments about science being boring,
Yes.
you'd think that as a scientist...
In fact, this was a debate I had with David Baddiel. Who
did you?
now that science is fashionable, he started claiming that it's all interesting, that he's always liked it.
Don't say that. He's in the building. He's about to be in the
He's not the
studio.
only one. He's the tip of the iceberg.
Anyway.
I think that's his family name.
However, I find myself agreeing with Frank about the recent change. I think I can explain it best by invoking Frank's comments about how he felt when seeing people in the pub on New Year's Eve during his Central Reservation years.
Yes, I should say that when I had a drink problem, I used to be very resentful about New Year's Eve because part-time drinkers would come
Yeah.
and make it difficult to get served.
Yeah.
Yes.
Annoying.
He says, as a scientist, this is how I feel when I see people going on about how science is, category C, swear word, awesome, when they have not spent years going through the meticulous carrying out of experiments.
Quite right.
Yeah.
I love this guy.
Of course, I love science, but then I know what it actually is.
Yes,
I hope this
indeed.
email wasn't too pompous. Regards, Samuel.
Pompous? I feel like I've just finished a chocolate eclair. I love that email. That's exactly my point. Respect to science and scientists, disrespect to the bandwagon jumpers.
Tourists.
Yeah, exactly.
Science tourism.
You
Although
know,
I do think we should begin an email trend of what do you think is boring. I think that's quite good. Formula
It's a
One,
bit
like
risky.
motor racing. I mean, that guy that was complaining earlier, oh, you've given away who's on the grid. Oh, God, what a terrible thing to have learned before you needed to know it.
but we're all different.
Oh, yeah, but, I mean, some people are into really boring stuff. I mean, I'm into boring stuff, but they're into really
I don't wish to
boring
know
stuff,
what you're
aren't they?
into, frankly.
Just think if science hadn't got fashionable, Professor Brian Cox would probably be working in a pharmacy now. And I reckon he'd have those, you know those bits of white you get in the corner of your mouth?
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, I reckon he'd have those.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I'll tell you what I've been wanting to discuss this morning is Floyd. Are you familiar with the work of Floyd Mayweather Jr.?
Well,
Floyd.
I mean, I know what he does for a living. I wouldn't be able to rattle off details of his various belts.
We better start getting familiar.
He's a pugilist.
Because he doesn't like it if someone doesn't give him his propers. He was in, rather extraordinarily, a Brixton Barbers.
Uh-huh.
Yes, Floyd
This week.
Mayweather, the famous
Yes.
boxer. Okay,
He earns 50 million a fight, I read.
he's bald, isn't he?
Well, yeah. Yes. Well, maybe they just spray Mr. Sheen on his head.
Yeah.
Is that why why would he go into the
He's got
barber?
a goatee. He might be getting trimmed.
Oh, maybe.
Money to burn, these people. He could have done that himself with some nail scissors if he'd wanted.
Yeah, but he has got money to burn. He's the money
Exactly,
man.
that's
He's the
his
money
point,
man.
yeah.
He
Calls
poses with
himself
pictures of himself in his bed
with
all
money.
his money. But what I like is he's all tucked up in the duvet. He doesn't look very cool.
Yeah.
Why does he do that?
No,
Why
that
do
looks-
they pose with cash?
Is it
It's a bit 70s cash, isn't it?
Well, that's the nice thing about it. It's got a lovely Ken Dodd feel to it, that picture. From the time when people kept money in their bedroom, you know, underneath the mattress and stuff. I like Floyd. He's a bit of a throwback to those.
I
Yeah.
like. I think he should post.
He's cash in hand. That's what he should be known as, not the money
Cash in
man.
hand.
Floyd cash in hand Mayweather. Imagine if he was introduced like that.
See, I think it'd be much cooler if he
Let's
had.
get ready to rustle.
Very good.
Oh, thanks.
Pictures of him with his bank statements.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My super saver, Abbey National, high interest account.
that's the trouble. With a nectar, a nectar across one chest.
Anyway, Floyd got approached by this rather spirited character. She
Yes,
approached him. She
that's
said,
a lady.
I don't
young
know
lady.
you.
In the barbers, yeah.
She said, I don't know you. And he was getting a bit irate at this. And she said she didn't know him. She said she knew who Mike Tyson was.
Yes,
She said, I like exciting fights. To which he said, Google! Rather in the manner, very similar to how you would do it, Frank.
I watched the video of this, and which is it's on the internet if anyone's interested.
Yeah.
I warmed to Floyd. I thought he was sort of winding her up a bit.
Oh, do you think?
Did you think he was angry?
I didn't see the video. I only saw
I
the
thought it was
article.
his entourage were trying about saying things like, one of the greatest fan of all and all that sort of stuff. You know, the way entourage, they can be very encouraging. Entourage.
Be a little bit of mob rule there, can't they?
Exactly. But I thought I liked it when he shouted Google.
Well, there was one member of the entourage who said, biggest in the world. And I thought that would have been my role. If someone came up to you and didn't know you, I'd have to say that.
Yeah, biggest in the world.
Yeah, I'd be there going, biggest in the world.
Yeah.
If someone thought you were Pasquale.
And I'd say, yeah, money man. Oh no, there's a bit where he says, 100 million in 60 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, that is difficult to work out, his hourly or his minutely rate. Well, I suppose 60 minutes is 1 hour. £100 million an hour, what's that for a minute? That's a tricky sum.
Yeah, the thing is with boxers, though, of course, is their rate goes up depending on how quick they finish the other bloke off.
Yeah.
So if you can get in there really...
Is it no win, no fee?
I think you'll find that's injury liars for us.
I knew there was an injury of some sort involved.
I don't know if injury liars for us will handle Floyd Mayweather. Any boxer. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if he finishes off quicker, then he could reduce that rate. It reminded me, do you know that LL Cool J track when he says, some suckers don't like me, but I'm not concerned. 6K a night is what I earn. 6K for 20 minutes, that's what I earn.
Nice.
When I first heard that, I thought, I remember at work when we used to get our wage slips, everyone was incredibly defensive and secretive. There's a man singing about his actual rates. What about the bloke woman that George Clooney married, Amal Thingy?
Oh, yeah.
If she works in the evening, does she have Amal night rates?
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I feel like I can bring you news that may help your gardening career now, Frank. We've had a text in from 441. The only time you don't mow grass is when it's frosty. In the rain is okay. And then it says ATG. Really? I don't know what ATG stands for. Tug the groundsman from Devises. And he says he's a groundsman.
Don't tell me what
he says he's a groundsman.
I didn't like that D.H. Lawrence follow-up.
Word carries.
Yeah, ATG.
ATG.
All the green.
Oh, maybe.
All the leaves are brown. All the leaves are brown. That's weather.
So there you go. The only time you don't mow grass is when it's frosty.
That's odd because when I mow it wet, it clags to all the mower and stuck to the rotary blade central axle.
I think.
Oh, you know your onions, in fairness.
No, I'm completely making it up.
Okay. Don't mow the onions. Don't mow the onions. That's a definite no. The only time you don't mow grass is when it's frosty. That's what you're taking away from today's show.
Okay.
Never mind that. We've had text in from a couple of naturists.
Oh, I told you there'd be naturists listening.
You did.
I think I said 5, but 3 to go.
This is from Sean. It says Sean's iPhone at the end.
Okay.
So I'm just letting you know.
I wonder where he keeps that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Me and my missus are naturists and would never wear a dressing gown or bathrobe.
No.
Which are two different things.
Oh.
We are naked, obviously.
Well, yes.
I love that Richard Curtis film.
No, I think they mean now as they sent the email.
Okay. No need to put on a toweling robe straight out of the bath or shower, and would never put on a gown of any type to walk around the house.
Oh.
Dressing gowns are for people who refuse to reveal any flesh at all. Don't be so embarrassed about what God gave you. Show it off and flaunt it. Oh. Sean's iPhone.
So he knows to appeal to your belief in a beneficent deity as well, doesn't he? He knows how to get your mind on side.
But yes. Do you say show it off and flaunt it?
Mind, you're not big on nudity, the Catholic Church, to be absolutely honest. I've always found it a bit of what I like about the whole idea of naturism is that they are completely... It's a bit like that dance like there's no one watching. Be naked like there's no one watching, but I couldn't do it myself. I don't know. If I had a fantastic bod, but they never have. I'm sure these people have. I'm sure they're the rare exception. But, I think it's a well-known wisdom that the people who get naked are the people who shouldn't.
Right, yeah.
But, thanks for texting. No, this might be an exception. You do get the occasional stunning. I went out with a very stunning stunningly good-looking naturist.
Till that trip to Venice, yeah.
Yeah, and where he went, I don't know. No, I never took her to Venice.
I saw him with George Michael.
Yeah. What? I wouldn't want to let him drive a gondola. Could take the palace down. Yes, okay. We haven't had a guest for such a long time. How are you feeling about it?
I'm all right about it.
We got DB out in the. Is he in the corridor?
DB's next.
He's pacing up and down.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because we don't normally have guests. We just carry on in our own way.
Can see him through that window. Actually, he's doing crunches to prepare for the show. That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, he was doing lion bars when I looked earlier. Shall I be the sort of question master?
You be the question master.
You can have the conch, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we should maybe come up with a tactic.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, Christmas tree formation.
Okay, I'll go in, and then if you go in the hole,
yeah,
I'll be waiting for you.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
David Baddiel is here.
Hello, Frank.
Are we all supposed to applaud? Is that what they do on radio?
Well, I think it's ruined now. No, asking for applause, it doesn't fill my heart with joy. If it's not spontaneous.
It's a bit the posse, isn't it, as well?
It is a touch.
But a lot of they do. When I do Steve Wright in the afternoon, which you must do as well, do you?
I've done Steve Wright in the afternoon. I've sometimes done it when it's not in the afternoon.
Yeah.
He pre-records it sometimes.
Oh, I don't think you should give that away.
I'm sorry. I've done it now. I've said it.
Terrible.
Yeah.
This is you say we pay, Gate.
But they do applaud. They always do that thing.
Yeah. But I don't need to take it in any... Don't read anything into it.
Okay.
It's not that kind of show.
No. It's lovely to be on, though.
Well, it's
as you know, I love this show. I listen to it every Saturday.
Well, we love you. Okay.
Got that bit over.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Right, what you selling?
Well, my musical... Thank you, Frank. My musical, The Infidel, the musical version of my film that came out a few years ago, is on tonight. My, yes, the thing that I did is on at Stratford East, Theatre Royal Stratford East in East London tonight. So it's the first preview. Here's the thing, the previews, I didn't really know this until I started doing theatre.
I know you're going to say they're cheaper and it's breaking your heart.
13 quid! That is breaking my heart. 13 quid! Because like when you do stand-up, as you will know, you try stuff out and it's not quite right, and that is often cheaper. But previews, no one comes on at the start and says, look, this might be rubbish, so please don't worry about that. We just do people know that there might be a bit where someone's waiting for a door to come on and it doesn't come and he has to mime knocking. That sort of stuff might happen.
Well, I've been to theatrical previews where things have gone a bit wrong. I remember a male dancer getting his foot caught in a revolving stage.
What show was that?
It's a sound. I'd never heard that sound before or since. But that was a preview. I think you are allowed though, just to get the kinks out, as it were.
Well, they're doing a musical too. I don't know if you know that. I shouldn't be advertising that one. It's a rival.
It's good that you've come on and plugged someone else's musical.
Very unlike me. But because we had a dress rehearsal.
Oh, we've got So Thespian.
I've said dress. We had a dress. Yes, I have got So Thespian. Jazz hands.
How did it go, love?
Well, it was very good, apart from the fact there were lots of bits where technically it was a bit all over the place.
Well, there you go. That's why you got your preview.
I know, but I didn't really know it. Have you ever... I haven't been, myself, to a preview, I think, ever. I think I've only read reviews, so after press night, to use another theatrical term, and gone afterwards. I didn't know there was this 2 weeks where you see work in progress. I didn't really know that.
Yeah, but it's exciting, though. You'll be able to watch it evolve.
Yeah, I will. You don't believe in evolution, do you?
I sort, yeah. I don't mind the gist of it.
I love the sound of the previews, but I'll be at the premiere.
You'll be at the premiere, of course. Okay? No, you were number one on the list, darling.
Thank you very much.
You must walk around your average British town and think, evolution, are you sure?
I don't want you two to get involved in a science argument now.
You two, are they here?
They're
on my iPhone.
Yeah, I can't help that.
And
that's evolution for you.
I cannot shift them. Evolution, it's abuse.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I'm here with the children's author David Baddiel.
You brought that out of nothing. I was
Yes,
talking about something completely different in the last link, and people will be confused. But yeah, I've also written a children's book. That's right. Frank's looking at a bite, I should say, listeners, on his arm. He's got a flea bite on his arm.
I didn't say it was a flea. It's
Well, I'm
from
assuming
my
a
garden.
bed bug. I don't know what it was. Is it from your garden? Because Frank lives near me now, and I'm worried the same flea or mosquito might come down to my garden with whatever disease you're carrying and give it to me.
When you're going to wake up tomorrow and say, there's something wrong with my... I can't work out what's happened to me.
No, yeah, I've written
You'll
a
be
kids'
ruined.
book. I have written a children's book. It's called The Parent Agency. And Ezra, who you all know, my son,
Yes.
he gave me the idea.
Oh, I love Ezra.
I love Ezra too, strangely.
Did he say, why haven't you got as much money as J.K. Rowling?
Yeah, well, he did virtually say that, because he said, he was talking about Harry Potter, and he said to me, Dad, why doesn't Harry run away from the Dursleys, who you may know is the
Yes.
horrible muggle family that he lives with, but
Yeah.
when he's not at Hogwarts? Why doesn't he run away from them and go and find some better parents? And I said, I don't know, Ezra, but that's given me an idea. And the idea was...
Honestly,
I said it like that.
I never get ideas like that.
Don't you?
No, not. I have to sit and squeeze them out.
Really?
Yeah, yours are like windfall fruit.
Well, yes, they are, but a lot of them are terrible. But this one wasn't terrible. This was a good idea, because it gave me the idea of a kid who is a bit annoyed and fed up with his parents in the way that most kids get, like they're a bit boring, they're a bit
And
strict.
can I say it's rather brilliantly called Barry,
Yeah, he's
which
called
I
Barry.
love.
He's annoyed they called him Barry.
Yes.
Furious they called him Barry, because they're called Susan and Jeff.
Yeah.
And he one night after a big row with them, because he loves James Bond, and he wants to have a big James Bond party, and his dad has bought... Yes, I know, I used to love James Bond, that's what you love.
Can I say, Frank, I've started reading it. It is basically David Baddiel's childhood.
Yeah, and he's furious because his dad has bought him the wrong James Bond film. He's bought him the David Niven parody on DVD, Casino Royale. So he has a big row, and then in his bed alone...
I thought you meant he bought him Quantum of Solace.
yeah, that's the wrong James Bond film. He wishes to the skies for better parents, and then Lionel Messi and James Bond, who are posters on his wall, basically transport him to a universe where kids are in charge, and kids are allowed to choose their own parents through something called the Parent Agency, and he gets to try out 5 different types of parents in 5 days. Rich parents, he chooses the opposite of his parents, basically. Rich parents, famous parents, parents who aren't strict, parents who are really energetic, and parents in which he's the favourite one in the family.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's, is it a bit insecurity making for any parent looking at this book?
Well, for me, because it's my child who came up with the idea. It's my child who said, Dad, what about an idea about a book for a son who goes and finds some better parents? What do you think about that idea?
Yeah, I feel my son might possibly have gone for younger.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that's something that Barry never says. Younger,
Really?
but I should have thought of it.
Yeah.
Much, much younger. One who's not going to die quite soon.
Yeah, makes it.
What about that?
Yeah, but I don't think that's such a worry if you know there's an inheritance around the corner.
Oh, I don't know. Labour government get in, they're going to tax it.
Oh, God, here you go. You heard it here first.
None of this is in the children's book.
You know Ed. You're friendly with Ed. You probably know,
friendly with Ed?
know something we don't know.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
With the children's author, David Baddiel.
Baddiel.
Children's author. I'm reading it tomorrow at the Hartford Children's Book Festival in Hartford tomorrow morning. And this is the thing again.
Another plug in.
I've got another plug, but I wanted to, because I haven't done a children's gig before.
No.
It's 11 o'clock in the morning, right? And it's going to be parents, but then a lot of children.
Yes.
And you can't put children down if they're heckling, which they kind of will be, won't they? 'Cause
You'll
children,
find a way.
Well, I'm not sure I'm worried about it. I'm worried my normal, slightly Tourette's response to hecklers, which is to say the first thing that comes into my head isn't
Watch
going
your potty mouth,
to work with if children start.
You don't want to say it's a shame when cousins marry
No.
if their parents are in the room.
Really, you don't want to do that. Yeah. So I don't really know. I will be reading from the book and then answering
Well, it's
questions.
a different world, Dave, isn't it?
I know.
I mean, this is what I wondered, you see. Because you've written proper adult novels.
Yes.
When I mean, for granted.
not
No, I know,
X-rated.
they're not erotica.
I don't want anyone to think you've written adult novels.
Well, actually, the first one's got some erotica.
Well,
in it.
anyway. How do you know if you've written a good children's book?
Well, one
because
way...
you're not a child.
No, well, I am really. I think, actually, one of the things about being a comedian, I think, is that one is much more in touch with the child within yourself than most people, I think. I think it's...
Okay.
I feel it's one of the things about being a comedian.
You see, I started reading Harry Potter, and I thought, I can't read this, it's a children's book.
Right. Well, I think the parent agency has got jokes in it that's sort of for parents as well, operates on many levels, but also I do have a 9-year-old child and a 13-year-old child, so unlike when I wrote adult novels, which I wouldn't try out on anyone, I did actually read out bits of them to both my kids and see if they worked. And Ezra in particular was quite keen on saying, no, that doesn't work. That's rubbish. What about this? And Ezra was very keen on workshopping it.
He obviously hasn't worked with you before.
No supper. That was it. No pocket money, no supper. I couldn't do that with Frank. Well, I was working with Frank, that didn't work.
No.
Saying no money, it never worked.
But you didn't need me because you were an adult who could judge an adult thing. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter if I like it or don't like it. It's about whether kids like it.
Yeah, well, I did talk to my kids a lot about it and read it out to them. But to some extent, I just went with my own childlike sense of humour, the childlike end of my own sense of humour. I didn't sort of inhibit myself as I might do if I'm writing stand-up or a grown-up book, thinking, oh, that's a bit, childlike, it's a bit silly. I thought, no, put that in, because it's a bit silly. And so far, kids have really liked it, actually. Kids
I'm loving it as well.
Well,
And I have to say, I hate Harry Potter and people with mortgages reading kids' books, but this is my exception. I adore it.
Well, thank you very much.
By the way.
Thank you very much. And I think of you as a very adult and sophisticated person.
Thank you.
I'm just going to worry that Dave's just going to wear purple all the time. I saw Michael Malpergo once. And he was
I love the way you thought his name was Malcolm Malpergo.
He ought to be called Malcolm.
Yeah, it does sound like he's got too many M's.
I think that would complete the whole thing if it was called Malcolm. But Michael Malpergo was all in purple, and I don't mean a smart suit, like a corduroy casual suit and purple trainers and
purple
stuff.
hat.
And I do wonder if children's writers
a little bit self-styled, colourful characters.
A bit strange.
yeah. Well, I've met him, and when I met him, he was also wearing but kind of deep red rather than purple, but also all matching.
Yeah, he goes the whole. Yeah. I think he's got his purple wardrobe and his red wardrobe.
It's some kind of strange cult. Possibly.
Michael Malpurple, I call it.
Brilliant. You should write a kid's book with that kind of silly material.
Yeah. The thing is, I've never even read a kid's book.
Well, read the parent agency.
No, but when I was a kid, I didn't read kids' books.
You didn't read anything, did you, till you were 17?
I read comic books.
Yeah.
But,
well, fair enough.
I'd happily write one of those. But no, that's why I think it's an incredible sort of guessing game writing for kids.
Yeah, but, it's just storytelling at some level, which I like doing anyway. And so I think everything that one does as a writer, performer, sort of is storytelling. And you just think of it as a slightly more focused type of story than you would do otherwise.
Well, if you want to see what it's like, I think it's in the Sun today, some of it, in the Sun newspaper.
When you told me David Baddiel's in the Sun, I was really worried.
Well, there was
Well, obviously, I haven't been in it for a while. I see what you mean.
There's no warning or anything.
There are. They get you now, just like that.
I didn't see anything that said, free in today's thing. It just suddenly appeared in the middle of the sports pages.
The sports pages?
Yeah, it's in the middle where the sports page.
Well, it's a little bit where Barry gets to play for the United Kiddom, which is the national side of the place that he's gone to. So he's playing football in that bit. So still seems a bit of a leap to put in the sports pages in between Jose Mourinho slagging off Arsene Wenger.
That's exactly
that seems a bit weird.
It was like those bits where the telly goes all funny in a science fiction film and a monster appears and says, "People of Earth." You came out of nowhere like that. But so you can check it. You can have a little taster of it in today's Sun newspaper. Is it in the Mirror as well?
No,
it's everywhere.
No, I don't think so. I haven't taken over the world.
It's everywhere. And when does it come out, Dave?
It comes out on Tuesday, I think. It comes out on Tuesday.
And the
Infidel is previewing from tonight at the Theatre Royal Stratford East. It's a great big old musical.
Yes.
That's what it is. That's what I watch. I think, God, people are actually singing and dancing. Which I like.
Yeah, so go and see that and buy the book and stuff.
Sound up about it, Frank. Up. Go on. Pleased about it.
Well, I would be pleased if that happened. I like the idea of having a mate who's the sort of new J.K. Rowling.
The new Malcolm Malpergo.
Yeah. You and Frank Lampard has written a children's book.
He has, yeah.
There you go.
Good old Frank.
Stop
Okay.
mentioning the rivals.
Yeah.
Sorry. No,
Andy
that's-
scored
I
against
think-
Chelsea recently,
think
so I don't
that's-
like him anymore
I think
anyway.
that's Richard Brinsley Sheridan, isn't he?
Very good.
Thanks.
Write it if you got that joke. I got it.
I did.
I knew you'd. See?
Yeah.
Everyone got it. Thank you so much, Dave.
Thank you, Frank.
And,
And Emily and Alan.
yes, and all of you. And morning, Peter. Morning, Richie. And
You're going to say the Creeks thing?
I'm going to do the end of double. Sorry.
Don't preempt the
Oh,
creeps.
sorry, I love the Creeks thing.
Oh, I don't do that anymore.
What?
Yes.
Can I
Okay,
say
I'll
it?
do it just for you.
Well, let David do it.
Oh, go on, you do it.
If the good Lord spares us and the Creeks don't rise, we'll see you next week.
I love it. Bye bye.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.